We are live, 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 live. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the continuance of my previous stream. I figured today I should do my Dead by Daylight reviews earlier in the day, which saves me time to play Rocket League, Sideswipe, regular Rocket League, or anything else. I also have to check on the driveway work to make sure that, it's not flooded out because it rained pretty bad. And do a whole bunch of other things today. So, figured I'd get an early start on everything. At this point in time, Dead by Daylight wise, I might as well just be a rage streamer who gets views off of rage. Cause oh my lord. These new concepts, y'all, just please look at everybody else's concepts around you and then make a concept that's, greater or equal. That's all I ask. If you see that somebody has something that you're missing, that, that's relevant, like really thought out perks, things like that, they go into extreme detail, maybe pull something from them to make it useful. Or pull from them, the explanations, things like that, and make yourself or your concept even better. Don't copy them, in their perk ideas and things like that, but copy the methodology and, the terminology that they're using. But either way, let's hop on in this with a new killer concept, the Jack. A home-struck crossover. I don't know what home-struck is, so no idea. Time in game when I started this concept, 242 hours. Time in game when I finished this concept, 337 hours. This power took me the longest amount of time of any power I've designed so far. So you're still fairly new with the game, with only 337 hours. You understand what different perks and things like that do, but you haven't necessarily gotten to that, knowing all of the meta strategies, looping wise, all of the things that you can do, and everything else. Dead by Daylight, for those of you, which Dead by Daylight's free on Epic Games, by the way, until 12/9, so go ahead and grab that. Dead by Daylight's not hard to learn. It generally takes a month, or under a month, for you to learn, enough to be able to survive a trial and not have that much of any type of issues. Less than a month. It takes quite a few hundreds to thousands of hours to learn, appropriate looping and strategies for doing gens and builds and everything else. It'll take longer to get everything perfected, but you can play the game adequately in less than a month. Rocket League, on the other hand, takes a lot longer. Anyway, the Jack, who is Jack Nor or Spade Slick, his tear radius is general, 32 meters. Speed, 4.6 meters per second. It's 115% move speed. Thank you. I don't even have to do that math anymore. He's a tall killer. 6'5". That is a tall killer. Difficulty hard. Now this is where the interesting thing comes, putting him at hard. Let's see what makes Jack. I'm not gonna finish that sentence. You almost got me. I'm not finishing that sentence. Got him. Weapon. Slicks. Killer weapon's gonna be a katana. Successful base, I don't need to know the hit. I don't need to know the Mori or grab animations. What we want to see is, oh my god, somebody who actually put a power here first. You're missing an overview? I mean, this is a general overview of the weapon and Moris and things like this, but you don't have an overview of the killer and what necessarily makes the difficulty hard, you know? What kind of killer is Jack, you know? Jack is a ruthless killer that runs around with a katana, has superior zoning abilities with perks and things like that, or I mean, is he a stealth killer that just jumps out, like, you know, who knows? Anyway, I mean, this somewhat has an overview in it, but you would want to see an actual overview written, not basic attack, Mori, locker grab animations, things like that. It's negligible, okay? I'm just kind of harping just to make everything uniform. I go over a checklist, essentially, per concept. This concept's good so far. It's not bad by any means. It's just missing a small overview. Power, the red miles. Press the power key to place a dormant tumor. When a survivor walks into the line of sight of a dormant tumor, indicated by a red line visible only to the Jack during and after placement, it triggers, latching onto the survivor with red mouse. The range of the dormant tumor is 9 meters to the left and 9 meters to the right, as of where Jack was facing when placing the tumor. So it only goes out 2 cardinal directions. I figured it would just be a radius of 9, but interesting. So it's sort of like pyramid heads, but instead of going straight, it goes to the left and right of where he's facing. Gotcha. Dormant tumors cannot trigger through walls. Nice. I like the explanation. Said dormant tumor now becomes a carcinogenic anchor. While a survivor is latched to an anchor, a few things start to happen. They lose the ability to use items. They suffer from the hindered status effect. I thought hindered was minus 10% movement speed. Could be 8%. I thought it was... You're making me think myself. Hindered status effect DVD. It was right here. This one says 9%. I'm pretty sure it's just a straight up 10% movement penalty. Let's figure this out now so I can use this for the future and not look like a fool if I have been a fool. Hemorrhage, haste, hindered. So hindered by base is just any type of movement speed decrease. So hindered isn't Jesus. Give me a second. Alright, so hindered just means survivors are going to be slowed. It doesn't necessarily say anything about the particular amount. So when somebody brings up hindered in the future, I need to ascertain the amount of speed because it can be anything. So you're looking at a base of from minus 15% to minus 20% in any case. So there's a good range of, that's a green add-on. That's 5%, by the way. And then iridescents are 15%, and then the powers are 20. So powers should have a higher precedent. So that's something to remember for everybody, since we're all going over this together. If you're wanting to add the hindered status effect, yellow is going to be less than 5%, green's going to be 5%, scaling all the way up to iridescent, which can give 15%, and then if you're using it as a power, you can go all the way up to 20% in select cases. This isn't a constant 20%. Okay. And he says minus 8% hindered status affects speed. Cool. And can only slow volt. Okay, they suffer from the exposed status effect for as long as they are affected by red miles. If another survivor comes into the range of the carcinogenic anchor, it will also latch into them. To free themselves from the red mile, survivors must hold down the interaction key for 6 seconds. Upon freeing themselves, they only remain exposed for 4 more seconds, to give you a total of 10. I like that. Regardless of whether or not the exposed effect already ended. Dormant tumors naturally disappear after 60 seconds of inactivity, and if all dormant tumors are already spawned, spawning a new one will remove the oldest one. A maximum of 7 dormant tumors can exist at once in a trial. You put a lot of thought into that. My question is what's the cooldown on placing those? And I don't remember how long, if it even said how long it takes to place them down. The reason I ask is, if there's no cooldown and they can just be thrown down, somebody running a loop, you can literally just hop one there. And as they're running another loop, you know, hop one on the other end of the loop, or before they run into a loop, throw one down. And then chase them through the loop, and as they jump through windows and things like that, just keep throwing them down to chase them into a new, or into your previous things. Almost like the artist with birds. Except for the bird's not moving, you just set up traps, or a faster trapper. If a survivor's running Kill Shack, as soon as they jump through window, you would throw something there, so if they go back through it, you know, you would get them there. And you would throw one by the door that they're going to loop back to. So if they loop back to use that door again, they get hit by it. Or if they jump back through that window again, they get hit by it. If it can be put down fairly quickly, then there's not really much survivors can do loop-wise. It's a loop killer. And you can severely limit the way survivors can run. So if you're coming up to a survivor that's working on a generator, you can start, you know, setting up traps all around where you think they're going to run, you know, like pallets and things like that, like a trapper would, but not have to preset traps. That also makes me decide whether or not the 7 maximum dormant tumors can actually exist in trial. The way I say that, there's 7 generators in trial, which gives you the option of setting up one of these tumors on each and every generator. So if a survivor goes anywhere near it, bam, they're hit with it. So I would limit this to 5 and then make your add-ons, make that go up to 7. So even if you throw one on each generator, there's at least 2 generators that'll be safe for the survivors to go to, so they complete more. So that's one. Two, letting them sit there for 60 seconds kind of defeats the purpose. Unless you're trying to make it specifically like a trapper style setup where the traps never deactivate or leave or anything. Again, that all depends on how long it takes the traps to sit. If traps can just be thrown down here, there, or another, fairly quickly, then you don't need a very high inactivity range because you're going to be actively chasing people. What is going on outside? Holy cow. But if they take a while to sit down and things like that, then obviously you're going to want to extend the inactivity range to be fairly high. I mean, 60 seconds is kind of ridiculous unless you, like I said, you're trying to do a trapper play. But I mean, 15, 30 seconds, and then again use add-ons to increase that up. And I mean, even 15 seconds is kind of questionable if we're talking about, chases, actively chasing survivor and using a power. So depending upon you're wanting to play the trapper play versus you want to play the chase play, you're going to have to balance that depending on which way you want to go there. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just saying I don't know. It's not explained whether it's which I mean, if there was the overview here that explained the play style, I would be able to give you a better review on this right here. It is kind of scaling. They put the dormant tumor down. The tumor then latches onto a survivor. However, the problem I have with this particular concept is things happen way too fast. I don't know if they're supposed to take, a little bit of time in between activations and things like that. But how it's literally stated, if a survivor gets hit by a dormant tumor, boom, it's an immediate a carcinogenic anchor. And while it's an anchor, you have to take 6 seconds to get it off of you, or you're going to be exposed the entire time. You're not going to be able to run. You're only can slow vault. You're going to be exposed, and a whole bunch of other different things. So like I said, if it's a trapper style trap to where, it sat down, it gets a survivor, something like that, okay, I can understand the expose and a whole bunch of other effects being added, because you're trying to make the trapper stop and essentially force them to take this off of them. You can even increase the exposed status effect if you know you're going for a trapper build. But if it's chase wise, all you have to do is just... Today is not trash day. What is going on? If you're going with chase wise, if you throw these down, willy-nilly, or if you just toss it in front of a survivor and it gets them, so I don't know. It says place, so I guess I'm going to assume that it's like a trapper. You actually do place it. It's not a throw. So let's just go literal. If you place something and you're chasing a survivor, again, kill shack or basement is another good one. You place it down right outside of all the doors that lead from basic, and around the windows and, the doors and all of that. As a survivor either goes in to save or is coming out to save, they're immediately going to get afflicted with the exposed status effect and slowed down, making it easy for a killer just to walk in and slap them. I mean, me personally, I would just run traps around Kill Shack, run Insidious, and then just chill. And as survivors go in to save, boom, they're going to hit the trap, get exposed, I'd walk out and slap them. Or some sort of perk that gives me the undetectable status effect. And you're just kind of trapping basement. So, immediately giving them the exposed status effect, I can't necessarily agree with that. But if you make it to where as the tumor stays on the survivor, it upgrades and upgrades and upgrades and just keep making it accumulative. So the first time it attaches to a survivor, it's not as drastic. But if it stays on them for like 3 or 5 seconds, more effects come. And then the next time they hit a trap, if they do hit a trap, that 5-second timer keeps increasing. And once it gets to like 10 seconds of having on them or something crazy like that, they then get the exposed status effect whenever they hit future traps, making it balanced, as opposed to as soon as this trap hits you, you're just screwed. If you're in mid-chase and you get hit by that trap, you're done. You're exposed. That's the end of it. Then, to make it to where survivors can't help the other person get the tumor off, if they get anywhere near, they're going to get attached to it as well. It's sort of like a symbiote. Because, I mean, if you want like a trapper-style build, you're going to have to at least make it to where a survivor can help the other survivor get it off of them or something. That's just, fair gameplay. But I mean, it's not a necessary thing that needs to be added in, but it's just a suggestion of give the survivors a chance, as opposed to keeping it all killer-sided. Special ability, uranium location, allows the Jack to teleport to the closest survivor to himself. What? Are you teleporting to the closest survivor? Or are you teleporting the closest survivor to himself? The Jack to teleport to the closest survivor. Oh, okay. Gotcha. He's teleporting to them. Allows the Jack to teleport to the closest survivor that is close to him. Said teleport takes 2 seconds to activate and has a 3-second arrival animation. After teleporting, a cooldown of 40 seconds begins. Remove all of that. You already have a trapper style build set up. And unfortunately, because of how things are set up, I can't actually give you the alternative, killer style thing like that, because you put a lot of time into it, and I'm glad you did, but it's just not quite there for me to make a single video. You've taught me something new, I appreciate it, but I can't make a video over this and really push the alternative killer, because it's not really completely flushed out, and it doesn't have everything that requires. Plus, the ability to teleport to the closest survivor is kind of broken. It only takes 2 seconds to activate, then 3 seconds to arrive to where you can move again. That's not very cash money, especially if there's only one survivor left, and you can just teleport right to them. There's nothing they can do. You wait a second, teleport right to the survivor. They can't get the exit gate. If you close hatch, they're screwed. You find hatch, close hatch, teleport to that survivor after a couple of seconds. When they're on an exit gate, they're screwed. And then all you do is just wait a couple of, 40 or so seconds of just, patrolling the exit gates. And then teleport again to find out where they're at, which exit gate then. Things like that. That's not very good. And keep in mind that Pinhead's teleportation requires somebody to actually do a specific action, aka start working on the box. Then he teleports a fairly good distance away, which allows the survivors to still get away. They also choose the location that they get where he could teleport to. So if they choose a very unfavorable position for Pinhead, he could spawn in somewhere where he has to do a lot of maneuvering and things like that to get to that survivor. Which is kind of the sense of balance there. But I would yeet. Get rid of the uranium. relocation. Just throw it out. I know this is a concept based off of a specific killer. Another thing that prevents this from being an alternative killer, this is based off of Homestruck and its own unique concept, so that disqualifies it too. Get rid of this. Don't need to add that in. Perks. It keeps happening. After a survivor fails a skill check while repairing, for the next 20 seconds they will experience a tremendously difficult skill checks. Failing any of these tremendously difficult skill checks will result in a flat 15% regression to the generator they are repairing. Only thing you need to add in that to make that perfect is that the notification from failed generator skill checks are gone. Because, I mean, in that case, as soon as this survivor blows up this particular generator, they're going to do what every other survivor does, and they're just going to dip. If they're new to the game, they're going to dip. If they're not new to the game and they miss this skill check, I mean, they're just going to continue working and it's not going to bother them. But I mean, it's rare that somebody experienced at the game misses a skill check, even with Huntress's Lullaby and everything else. You might get one out of them if they aren't paying attention, but it's not going to be that heavily effective. This is going to destroy new people, though. New players running this, especially with Huntress's Lullaby, you're going to literally keep regressing that generator the way they can never repair it. So, there's two things that I would personally suggest to be balanced. One, like I said, the actual notification that the killer gets when a generator skill check is missed, that be taken away, because this is an extremely powerful perk. And two, these tremendously difficult skill checks come once every like 20 seconds. Because you're taking away 15 seconds per miss, so you have to give the survivor some sort of positive progress that they can work with. So even if they miss every single one of the skill checks, they're at least getting a 5% increase in generator, as opposed to just staying down and not getting anything. It's like I said, newer survivors are going to have a heck of a time, and they're going to keep missing skill checks over and over and over and over. But that 5%, after getting 20 of these skill checks, they're going to eventually get somewhere. Eventually. So it's it doesn't lock up the game per se. Like, the killer can't just go make a sandwich, come back, and survivors not be anywhere. Good dog, best friend. For the next up, we have multiple scaling. Do not multiple scale like this. You have scaling here, scaling here, scaling here, scaling here. Don't do multiple scales. If it requires multiple scaling, like I think like No Mither, that requires, which I don't even know if it even has multiple scaling now that I think about it. The different tiers of No Mither, I don't know. I haven't used that perk in forever, and it's been changed so much. But a perk like No Mither, if it has to have multiple scaling, it makes sense. Because it's a very finicky perk, and this is, you know, throughout the entire match, this person is going to stay injured. So, I mean, you're going to need to fine-tune that. For this, one, it's just an obsession perk. Doesn't need to be fine-tuned this hard. And let's see what we can do. For every 40 seconds your obsession is alive, gain a token up to a maximum of 5 tokens. Well, this obviously is going to have to be higher, regardless of what comes next. The seconds are going to have to be higher. For every token you have, the obsession gains a 3% increase to repair speeds, but your regression speeds are also increased by 30%. Lose a token each time you hook the obsession. How does this make sense? The obsession, one survivor, gets a 3% increase to repair speeds. Only a measly 3%. But you're going 10 times that on regression speeds, the 30%. How does that make any sense, giving survivors a measly 3%, one survivor 3%, and then giving regression speed 30%? I would say you need to give every survivor a 3% increase in repair speed. Like, every survivor should benefit from this if you're going to go so low. Regression speed, Ruin has a 200% regression speed, or it's double the regular regression speed. And now you're trying to give it a 2.3 or 230% regression speed. But you lose a token every time. Now, it goes up, or it scales to 5 tokens. So the obsession is going to end up getting a maximum of 15% increased repair speed, and you're going to end up getting a maximum 150% regression speed. So it's under, like, the lower version of that's unacceptable, and the higher version of that is even more unacceptable. 150% regression speed, that's essentially double Ruin almost. Ruin is, they lose 1 second for every, or 1 second of progress for every 4 seconds that go by, if that makes sense. So they lose 1% every 4 seconds Ruin is active on a generator. Doubling that, which is essentially what this does, is going to end up being like 1.8 or something like that. 1.5, 1.8, something crazy. Times Ruin, or on Ruin. So you're going to end up be losing, I don't want to round it up and say 2% or 2 per 4 seconds, but you're going to be losing like 1.8% on a generator per 2 seconds. I guess it'd be 1.5 at a directly scale. So you'd be losing 1.5 per 1 second, or for 4 seconds. As long as you're not hooking the obsession. Like, can you see how overly broken this particular perk is? They get a whole 3% repair speed increase. 3% is well, let's see. 3% of 80. They finish a generator 2.4 seconds faster. You put a lot of thought and a lot of research into things, but I can't believe you didn't research this particular perk. So they're going to finish a generator 3 seconds faster. But you're going to regress the generator. And that's, per token. Keep that in mind. It's 2.7 or 3 seconds rounded up, which I guess if I round that up, I need to round the other scale of that up. So 3 seconds times 5, that's going to be 15 seconds. It's going to be completed faster, which, hey, that one survivor is going to be, hey, any generator they do is 15 seconds faster. That's 65 seconds they'll spend on a generator, Don't seem that bad. But then you look at the other side of that, and they're doing it at essentially 400% rounded up as well. So for every 4 seconds that this survivor is not on a generator, they're losing 2 seconds, rounded up. So, in essence, this survivor completing the generator of 15 seconds, but that 400% ruin regression, or ruin, that you're going to stack together encompasses that, and still has a negative on top of it of like 10 to 15% that it's going to take. Plus the skill check perk, which can just take out that flat 15%. So any benefit the obsession gets here, if they miss a skill check, boom, that generator is gone, or any type of bonus you're going to get from that generator is now gone, and you're back to just standard. Of course, these particular perks aren't even OP on the particular killer that he's trying to have. The thing is, imagine these particular perks on meta killers. It makes them extremely overpowered. A double ruin effect almost. Well, it's ruin 0.5 is what it would be. That's crazy. You can run around the map, do whatever you want, and that regression penalty is just like whoa. Just whoa. Plus, if you run both of these together while you're running around, and like I said, run like Huntress's Lullaby or something like that to get those skill checks that they really can't get any noise notification for. In a new lobby, you're again locking the survivors down and giving them a hell of a time trying to get these generators completed. Then his spade. Every time you hit a survivor that is not your obsession with a basic attack, gain a token up to 7 tokens. 3 tokens. Survivors hit by basic attacks are hindered at a minus 10% speed for 5 seconds. 5 tokens, deep wound effect. 7 tokens, they are exposed. So generally at 7 tokens, the entire lobby is going to be exposed. That's it. There's no point in putting survivors hit by your basic attack or putting it in a dying state. No. At 7 tokens, survivors gain the exposed status effect. And that's every time you hit a survivor that's not your obsession. Slap a survivor here, slap a survivor there, you know, let them just lay there. A survivor will go to pick them up, or they'll pick themselves up. Slap there, or just do hooks. Hook a survivor when somebody goes to save them. Hit the survivor that you know is getting pulled off the hook for that borrowed time to get that activation. Go after the other survivor. Slap them, knock them down. You can get up to 7 hits, easy. If it brings things into perspective, it takes 2 hits to knock a survivor down. So essentially, the 3rd time you down a survivor, any survivor, this perk is activated. And it can't be deactivated, is the main thing. As long as it's not the obsession. You get all of this. So I really can't say this is good in any aspect. One, you need to make this into some sort of hex perk or something like that, because, well, this is just way too OP. There's no way for survivors to counteract it. You just get these. At every match that you play, everybody's gonna be into the dying state. It's not like, you know, Devour Hope, where you have to be away from survivors to get the exposed status effect and all of that. No, you just have to slap survivors. If you run all 3 of these perks together on a Legion, most importantly than anything, because he can run over to a survivor, hit that survivor, and then chain to another survivor, hit that survivor, and this continuously chain back to back to back to back to get that very quickly. Or if you want to just go straight speed build Wraith, who can just invisibly run at a very fast speed over to a survivor, come out of invisibility, slap that particular survivor, and if it's the obsession, he can just keep walking on, maybe scare the crap out of them off a generator, and then continue on. So once you get those 7 hits, all survivors, I mean, you essentially you have no ad, is what you have minus the speed, and you just ramshackle bam, all survivors are down. There's no point in hooking them. You can just slug them. No point in hooking. Survivor goes and picks them back up. You can just knock them back down in one hit. Why would I hook them? That's just less bait for me to get other survivors down with. So, I mean, no. I can't say I can endorse this. This needs to be hard nerfed. It's a heavy, heavy, heavy left turn. This, with a little bit of balancing, and then it'll have to be public test beta balanced to make it actually feasible for the actual game and things like that, obviously needs to be redone. This needs to be removed, and I would like to see the power to be better defined, so I know exactly what I'm dealing with, as well as an overview, which you can just say that up there and not even have to adjust any of this. Just an overview added, saying whether it's, a pursuit type character or if it's like a trapper type character, how you expect this character or envision this character to be used. I need to know this. Add-ons, I'm not gonna go over add-ons. It's nice that you put a lot of effort into it, but generally, if the concept needs to be redone, the add-ons are gonna have to be redone. All in all, I do like the concept. It does have, its uniqueness and things like that to it. It could even, if they wanted to, make an alternative killer for Trapper, but it would have to get rid of all the other contractual content and references to other things. So, it can be made there, though. Very good concept. Lethargic Sauce, very good concept. This is not what we like to see, though. You say that you put a lot of thought into this particular concept, and you put out a banger of a killer, but then I see that you've posted something else called The Teacher the next day. So does this mean that this is going to be a neglected style of killer, or is this another one from the drawing board? You already set the bar on yourself with this killer concept, so every concept I expect to be of equal or greater quality here. Don't disappoint me, Lethargic Sauce. Scrap concept. At least you say that it was a scrap concept. So I can go with this with a grain of salt, and I don't really need to hardcore critique it. I can just let it go because it's been scrapped. Scrapped generally means, it's not already up to par. It wasn't a good concept per creator, They stopped working on it, they decided no. So if it is OP or something ridiculous, no harm, no game. Or no harm, yeah. That. Difficulty, easy. Power, detention. I thought that said allows the teacher to summon monkey. I was like, monkey! Allows the teacher to summon murky orange and browns impeding walls. Each impeding wall is 24 meters long. Jesus Christ, and reach 20 meters upwards. The upwards doesn't even matter. Dead by Daylight wise, doesn't matter. Anything that's not window size, survivors can't vault over anyway, so you can make it to where you can look over walls or see the survivor or anything like that. Doesn't matter. That, and it saves on assets and memory allocation. Summoning in a huge wall, 24 meters by 20 meters upwards, is going to make a lot of games lag. So just keep it simple. um 24 meters wide or long is ridiculous, by the way. Just as sort of a time scale, if you're a survivor, that is 6 seconds of running. It's how long this wall is. 6 whole seconds of running is how long this wall is. 24 meters is huge. Same as with 20 meters upwards. A maximum of 5 walls may exist at a time. The walls have collision and cannot be passed through by survivors or the teacher, and cannot be and will not continue through walls. Said walls will fade away after 40 seconds or will shatter if a survivor is hit with a basic attack during these 40 seconds. Okay. Start from the beginning. 1, the walls don't need to be that tall and they don't need to be that long. It's way too long. As long as this wall is, if a survivor is running cross map, you can literally stand where you are, shoot a wall, and the survivor will not be able to turn whatever direction that wall's coming, ever. And any survivor that's on the opposite side of the wall, you could potentially trap them and make it to where they can't leave that particular side of the map. Teacher can't go through their own walls. Survivors can't go through their walls. So the game is just stuck 40 seconds. The obvious thing's going to happen is if there's a 3-gen situation, the teacher's just going to keep putting up walls across the map. Because, I mean, each map has small choke points to where you can just keep putting up walls over and over. Like 2 walls gives you, like, what was it, 40? Something? 24? 48. 48 meters of length of wall, and you can just put one down, put a second one down. As one starts to fade, put one down, in front of it or behind it, and put down another one. You have 5, and you just keep placing down walls as they disappear, and survivors can no longer get to generators. Now, if you slap a survivor, I'm going to assume it's not just the last wall, it's all the walls that are put down are going to fade. So in order for this to happen, survivors are going to have to be sitting right next to the wall, and as soon as you slap one, which one's going to have to sacrifice themselves for the slap, the walls are going to shatter. Problem is, as soon as they shatter and you slap this survivor, they have the 3-second animation after you take a hit to get past that wall to an area where another wall that you put down isn't going to affect them. This also provides a problem on maps to where the exit gates spawn near each other. You can literally just put up a wall that prevents survivors from escaping through the exit gates, and as long as you're running something like NOAD, you can easily just clean up matches. Because at that point, it's not going to matter. You have both exit gates locked off, and even if a survivor elects to take a hit, you can just essentially just keep doing what you're doing until all the survivors show themselves. Then you just slap one down, run over, slap another one down, etc., etc. You control when anybody can leave. Now, this only exists, of course, it said the walls stop if they hit any type of structures or anything, but I don't think the wall should be that long anyways. um, detention. Detention? Detention. Allows the teacher this. No, that's the wall ones. Timeout chair. Yeah. Special map element. Up to 8 timeout chairs spawn on the map. You can place survivors into these chairs while carrying them. This is the same as prop night, by the way, which counts as a hook state. Upon being rescued from chairs, survivors suffer from oblivious and blindness status effects for 16 seconds. The auras of the chairs are shown in dark orange. Prop night. The hypnotic chairs and all that other stuff that they put the children's into is essentially what that is. Teachable perks. Actions have consequence. Give me a second. My headphones amplify noise and the house is booming right now, so all of that's being amplified in my headphones, and you can probably hear it through the stream quite clearly. Give me just a brief moment. Teachable perks. Actions have consequence. Every time you're stunned, the generator with the most progress explodes and regresses by 12%. After exploding, it becomes blocked for 19 seconds. I can agree with the regression after being stunned if there's a cooldown. But the heavy thing that this thing's missing is cooldown. Even if you want to block it for 19 seconds, that means the cooldown's going to have to be significant, like 16 seconds, or 16 seconds, 60 seconds. Possibly even 80 seconds. You don't need to double scale both of these. Set a standard regression rate, and then block the generator for whatever, or set a standard generator block time and then scale the regression rate. Do not scale both, especially because you're going from 7 to 19 here and you're going from 6 to 12 here. Why not just make this 9% and go in the middle here and then keep the scaling? Actually, no, because this is 19 seconds, so you're going to actually want to make this 6%. Also, you're probably going to reverse scale this as well, which I don't really like, but if you are going to do something like this, this should all be reversed. It should be 12, 9, 6% for 7, 13, and 19 seconds. 6% regression, longer block time. Or a higher regression time to a shorter block time. I'm not a big fan of that, but if you are going to include both, that needs to be done and flipped opposite anyway. This can be incorporated, but I mean, again, a cooldown's going to have to be added because killers are just literally just going to take every pallet to their face. Not only are they getting rid of pallets, but they're regressing a generator. So, you know, problems. Very big problems. And once survivors figure out that you're running this particular perk, they're just going to pre-drop pallets like they do with any other killer, and the perk becomes useless. So, keep that in mind as well. Teach them a lesson every time a generator is completed. All attacks inflict deep wound on healthy survivors. If the healthy survivor is deeply wounded, they will be put into the dying state. Perk lasts for 30 seconds. How long is this deep wound timer? I mean, if you want a deep wound, I mean, you can't just say deep wound on healthy survivors. It's just deep wound status effect. It's just like if you're playing Legion and you're hitting a survivor that's already injured. It's the same. Or you can go and use like the Nemesis effect, but he's applying a status effect before the tentacle can hit you. So that's a little bit different because it's a specific status effect. But I mean, if you wanted to go that way, which would be weird in this case, you could do something like that. But I mean, deep wound is deep wound is deep wound. It's already been defined. Literally, every time a generator is completed, teach them a lesson activates. While active, all attacks inflict deep wound effect on survivors. That's all you gotta say. That's it. Everybody that knows the game knows what deep wound is. Deep wound doesn't change. You can't change anything that's already, implemented into the game. That's it. Underperform when a survivor fails a skill check while repairing. Okay, the generator they're working on will explode and regress by 25%. There's already a 3% regression. Why are you trying to blow this up even more to 25%? If a survivor fails a skill check while healing, they lose 70% of their healing progress. Increase the frequency of skill checks by 40%. Again, perks like this, you're having a hugely negative deficit. If they miss any skill checks, not to mention the actions have consequences, and then you have ruin, and you have all kinds of other perks, Huntress's Lullaby, all kinds of stackable perks like this. To lose 25%, then an increase in skill checks is ridiculous. You will get a skill check generally before the first 25% of a generator, 25, 50, and 75. But generally before the first 25, you'll get a skill check. If not, sometime shortly after. And if you just happen to miss it, bang, you've just lost all of that progress that you did. 17.5 or 17.25, I think, is what it ended up being. I think it's like 17.25 is 25% of a generator. I don't know. Somewhere. It's either 17.25 or 17.5. I think no, it's 20%. I'm thinking of 20% is the 17. 25% is 1/4. There's 80 seconds, 20 seconds. So every time you fail this skill check, you're losing 20 seconds off of a generator, or 25%. You'll generally get a skill check within the first 20 seconds of working on a generator, or shortly after. And if you do miss that particular skill check due to Huntress's Lullaby or something like that, you've just lost 20 seconds of work. Why are you, one, trying to extend the boredom of doing generators by that much? It's all survivors can do is just sit there and hold a button on a generator. It's not fun. But then you go after their healing. 70% of healing progress. Yeah, boon totems and things like that suck, but you don't need to hyper scale to try to catch up with that. When you go off of basic healing, you go off of medkit healing, which is 16 seconds. If they miss a skill check during that, which increases the frequency of skill checks by 40%. Because it doesn't say, it increases chances. No, it increases the frequency. Two different terminologies, two different words, two different meanings. Keep that in mind. Stop scaling for circle of healing and all of that. Scale per medkit. Keep to the basics when you're scaling. That's crazy. This is crazy. Give the survivors a chance to where they're not going negative back to back to back to back times. Let's see what the survivor side of aspects do or have. I'm expecting them to be super buff, like these. Boon, Mind's Eye. Anything that can show an aura within the range of the totem with this boon applied will have its aura shown to all survivor. If the killer passes through the range of this boon, their aura will be revealed for 2, 4, or 6 seconds. Anything that can show an aura within the range of the totem will have its aura shown to all survivors. So anything within 24 meters of a totem location, you can see where it is. That's not much. That's not much at all, unless you get a totem location like inside of a main building. Then you ain't showing them jack squat, diddly squat, nothing. That's not good. The only thing you get out of this is if the killer walks through this, their aura is revealed for 6 seconds. That's about it. Again, you need a cooldown on something that's like this, or the effects are just going to keep activating and deactivating and activating and deactivating and activating and deactivating. All the survivor has to do is just run a loop to where they pull the killer out of this particular aura and then run back through and loop back into the aura to keep eyes on. It's not that hard to do when you can see everything the killer's doing. So no, it's not very useful. Boon, Dreamcatcher. Also, you have to keep in mind that you don't have the option of deciding where this totem goes. You have 5 different places. So I guess you have some options, but you have 5 different places. And if none of those 5 places are in any type of usable area, which most aren't, then, it's kind of useless. Another thing on the opposite side of that, if you're playing like Gideon Meat Plant or Midwich, well, Midwich might be fine, but Gideon Meat Plant or something like that, or anything that has a lot of things that can stack on top of each other, you're just going to have this long array of neon light show where this totem's placed. I don't use aura reading perks for a reason, because I don't like everything just popping up on my screen and all of these lit up auras from everything, just everywhere. Like, I don't want to see all of that. I want to see the base game so I can see what I'm doing, not have the distraction of everything around. But that's just my personal opinion on this. The thing that I gave before was just a regular review on the particular perk, then I threw in my twist on it, why I didn't personally want the perk. So right now, it's kind of useless. It doesn't have any strong type of power, and it can be heavily exploited because it doesn't have a cooldown in it. So the use that you can get out of it isn't necessarily how the perk's designed to be used. Boon, Dreamcatcher. When in the range of a totem with this boon, any and all auras that a survivor can see will be revealed to other survivors. This effect ends 12 seconds after survivor leaves range of totem. Why would you run these 2 perks together if that's the case? Most survivors have perks that either stack well together or they're just completely different effects that suit this particular survivor's needs. These 2 are both counter to each other. You can either show everything within the boon totem's area, or you can show everything that you see. If I run this perk, I'm not going to run the first perk. I'm going to run this, a map, a add-on that extends aura reading range or something like that, or I'm going to run this, a key, and then an extension and the ability to read the killer's aura. And I'm just gonna keep tapping that every once in a while so everybody knows where killer is most times. Very weird. um, I mean, it can be incorporated into the game. It's just odd. Me personally, again, I don't want to see what you're seeing. Because if you're running, empathy or something like that, to where we can all see the injured survivor that's getting chased or anything like that, cool. But if you're running windows of opportunities or clairvoyance or anything like that, it's going to stack with it, and survivors are going to be, well, me personally, I'm going to be pissed if I see a neon show of everything on the map that can have an aura in it forced upon me. I can't turn it off. I can't press a button to accept this aura reading ability. It's going to show it to me every time. I'm going to be livid. That, like I said, personal struggles aside, I could see this being incorporated into the game, but it's going to have to be changed ever so slightly. Sixth Sense, when the killer is within 44 meters of you. That is a long way. During this time, the killer will leave bright orange scratch marks, and the sounds they make will be louder. The loudness thing's irrelevant. Sixth Sense lasts for 40 seconds. Hey, we have a cooldown. Or until downed and has a cooldown of 40 seconds or 50 seconds. "40-second activation, 50-second cooldown." The problem is the 44 meters of you. When the killer is within 44 meters of you, generally, unless you're out in the open and running around doing all kinds of crazy survival-y things, you're not even going to see the killer. This perk ain't even going to benefit you. 2, it's so far out, and also nullifies the keys and everything else, which, I mean, like I said, keys have been hard nerfed. Stop trying to nerf them anymore. There's no activation. For it being Sixth Sense, you would think that it would take you popping a totem or something like that, or doing a specific action like completing a generator or something like that. It needs some, well, I mean, a lot of these need activations, but this one in particular needs some sort of activation or something like that that's on par with the actual perk. The killer leaves bright orange scratch marks, and sounds they make are louder, which, I mean, is irrelevant, but still. So, again, that same terminology, you're going to need to nerf this perk, I guess is what it says, but it needs a better activation on these. These ain't too bad because it's only hitched to a totem. So, it's not that bad. This isn't. And then there's a second survivor. Seasoned survivor, after being injured or deep wounded, reveal the killer aura to all survivors until the killer either stops chasing you or downs you. Upon being down, reveal the killer aura to all survivors to 7 seconds. You're using killer aura reveal twice. I mean, that's the obvious no-no there. After being injured or deep wounded, the deep wound is an injury, by the by. So, you're repeating yourself there too. So this needs to be simplified, so there's not just aura reading upon aura reading upon aura reading. which generally doesn't matter because if the killer is in chase with one survivor, they're going to be tunneling that one survivor. When you go down, they're going to generally look around for a little bit and then they're going to go for that or just an instant pickup. General hook time, unless you go down right in front of the hook, I mean, it's 1.5 seconds off of this already, just the hook. Then they have to walk or pick you up, which takes time. Then they have to walk over to a hook and hook you. So this time right here is going to be used up by the time you get hooked, which makes both of these kind of redundant. Empathy does the inverse of this already. If you're injured, empathy shows the survivor's aura, so you know exactly where the killer is moving and things like that, because they're chasing that particular survivor. That makes that balanced. Being the inverse of empathy, and when the survivor gets injured, everybody else in the map knows where the killer is and what they're doing, isn't necessarily ethical. Especially until the killer stops chasing you or downs you, because there's some killers that get looped all 5 generators. So that's not helping them if they decide to break off chase, because, well, there's an extra 7 seconds. So anytime you fail a chase and you head off in a particular direction, the survivors that are in that direction are obviously just going to leave or hide, causing even more issues. So this perk, no. Careful observation. Isn't there a perk called careful observation? I don't know. Within 60 meters of a dull or hex totem. Nope, it's too long. It's too far. Nope. It's too far. 60 meters, too far. Don't even need to go over that. Documentation. Every object that you interact with will have its aura highlighted to you until it cannot be interacted with anymore. The object's aura will also be visible to all other survivors in an 18-meter range. This is potentially more like it, what I would like to see that really wouldn't bother me. For survivors interacting with, a chest and don't completely open it, okay, it's marked for me if I come by. If they're messing with an exit gate, okay, it's marked for me when I go by. I don't mind seeing things like this. If they're hopping windows and, using pallet, well, I guess if they use the pallet, then, well, I guess it'll be there till it gets broken. If they hop windows and, they're running loops and things like that, and I walk up to it, it's only showing me the general things in that area. In that 18-meter range. That's not bad. That's not terrible perk. That's something that I would love to see implemented. Something like that. To where I'm not just gonna be sitting there and then the map's gonna light up like a freaking neon sign. I'm just gonna be like, well, I can't see anything anymore. This is more like it. Something exactly like this. 18-meter range is kind of meh, but it's still not terrible. It's not 60 meters of everything this survivor touched is going to light up to me. It's going to show generators, it's going to show totems, it's going to show windows, pallets, exit gates at the end. And I don't know if I said chest and chest. Or hooks, if they elect to, sabotage or something like that. All of that is useful information. And once the chests are open, it disappears. Or the totem's broken, or anything like that, it disappears. If you walk up to a hex totem and you touch it and then you walk away, and now all the other survivors know if they go nearby, hey, there's a hex totem here. I wasn't able to get it or finish it for me. I love that. I love that. This is a diamond in the rough. I love this perk. How long are we going? Holy. New general killer perks. Thin in their options. Every time you hook a survivor, gain 2 tokens. Consume a token to destroy a standing pallet. I've went over that. No. I've went over all of these previous posts. I guess he ended up scrapping that particular object or killer, but I've went over all of these on live stream before. Practice makes perfect. For every great skill check you hit the great skill check, increase the great skill check zone, and gain an extra progression on great skill checks. Again, this should not be too positive. They should be an inverse. For every great skill check you hit, you should decrease the great skill check zone and then increase the reward that you get for those. If not, and you just keep getting positive after positive after positive, if you can hit a great skill check, which most people who play Dead by Daylight can, because they've been playing for a long time, increasing the size of it's not giving them any more of a challenge. You're just giving them rewards now just for doing a generator and severely speeding up generator, because you're getting a cap of 105% of size, which is almost the regular skill check zone. Then you're getting an extra 3% per great skill checks on top of what you already get, which I think is a 3%, right? You get 3%, so you would be getting a 6%. It says it's flat and doesn't increase, but I mean, you already get the 3% plus an extra 3%. So every skill check gives you 6% gen completion. That's crazy. Brace yourself. After cleansing a totem, I guess I should give you some math on this. Every 3 great skill checks you hit by this perk, which would be 6, 12, 18%, rounded up to 20. Let's just say 4. Every 4, because I can round it up to 25%, adds an extra 20 seconds to the generator. You're usually going to get around 4 per generator. Average. I guess an average would be like 2, maybe 3. But if you're going to get 4, you're going to be shaving off essentially 20 seconds of gen time, making an 80-second generator cost 60. So up to that. You generally won't get any more over 4 though. Generally. I mean, you can. I've had all the way up to 8 or 9 before where they just kept giving them to me. The game's weird when it comes to things. It's all based off of chance, so I mean. But yeah, just going off my personal experience, I get about 4, maybe a generator. Brace yourself. After cleansing a totem, brace yourself activates. While active, press the active ability button to gain the endurance status effect. No. After activation, perk gives deep wounded and 40 seconds of exhaustion. Problem you have here is it's an endurance status effect that you can activate whenever you want upon cleansing a totem. It's not good. To get, like, you know, Medal of Man, you have to take protection hits. To get Borrowed Time, you have to be unhooked. All of these require, you know, essentially giving up or giving a health state that transfers between, you know, Survivor to Survivor or Medal of Man. You're saving them and taking a hit for it. This, literally, you break token or totem, bam. Now, whenever you want, it doesn't even have the caveat of, you know, after you're hooked, the effect goes away. No, it lasts the rest of the game. Whenever you want, and you need this extra endurance status effect that lasts 6 seconds, you can use it. So obviously you're going to hold this to the end of the game. You're going to be bait. You're going to have the killer chase you. You're going to go down. Killer's gonna, have you down. A survivor's going to probably grab you with borrowed time because it's gonna be an SWF or something like that. If not, you give yourself the borrowed time hit to get out. Or you take one hit to let your buddy escape, activate your endurance when you're running away on the second hit to get that boost. And get out. It's not a good perk. It also doesn't say anywhere here that you cannot activate this perk while you're exhausted. So you can still dead hard into an endurance effect. Or into brace yourself. Crow Whisper. After completing at least 50% of a generator, you can enter a locker to create bird food. Blah blah blah. Using bird food, you can attract the attention of a crow. After 20 seconds, it will return to the spot you fed it and deposit 2 items of either brown or yellow rarity. The crow cannot collect more than 1 item of the same type at a time. Just open a chest. Just open a chest. You weirdo. Why? Why would anybody ever run this perk? You have to do a 50% on a generator. That's 40 seconds. Then you gotta find a locker, jump into it, which generally is gonna be around a generator. For bird food, you can have flashbang and a whole bunch of other different perks, but you choose bird food. You then use the bird food, which makes a crow drop 2 items of brown or yellow rarity. Absolute doo-doo items. And the crow cannot collect more than 1 item of the same type at a time. So the only, well, no, because you can't even get keys that are brown or yellow quality. So you can't even use this to get, a key or anything. You're just literally fishing to get a med kit in this situation. Which med kits you can find generally just going to any chest on the map and opening. They're very common. Like, what are you trying to get out of this particular perk? I don't see any good that it can give you except for just 2 other items. There's chests everywhere. There's ways to increase chests by offerings. You can get 1 or 2 more chests. You can increase the rarity of the add-ons that come in using Ace's perk. You can choose Plunderer's Instinct to increase the rarity of the item itself. I'll be back in a second. Alright. And then the rest of these seem to be add-ons and things like this. Keep in mind, again, this is scrap concepts. I went through and did a full review anyway because I figured I was going to be wrapping up stream soon. Already an hour or so in, right after the Splinter Cell stream, I just wanted to do, a little bit of something. So if I do have to leave and do other things throughout the day, besides the work that I have to do and the driveway and all of that. Besides that, if I end up having to go and get more rock or something like that, I'm not going to be rushed. So here's something for the day. This says he's not a big fan of the killer's power. I mean, this has been edited to aw heck. So I don't know which killer he's talking about. He did, however, post that this particular killer, the powers are terribly designed. Again, like I said, he says no good survivors are missing skill checks. This perk would be worthless. I did point that out, that the perk was going to become essentially useless when you get to like higher ranks. It's very, very, very targeted against new survivors, which new people to the community behavior doesn't want to necessarily steamroll and make them never play the game again. So actions have consequences. The problem with this is that it will exacerbate the pre-dropping pallets issue, since survivors no longer want to stun the killer if they have this perk. There isn't a pre-dropping pallets issue. Not really. It's not that bad. The only pre-dropping pallets issue that you're going to come across is when survivors pre-drop god pallets or like kill shack pallets. That's the only issue there, and that has nothing to do with survivors pre-dropping any of the other pallets. I'm actually a lot happier when survivors pre-drop pallets and continue the run that aren't god pallets or anything like that, as opposed to waiting there with the space that they already have, getting a stun, flashlighting, and then continuing to run away in the same direction that they were running before. Because that, you are losing that distance that you have, and you're not gaining much, because while the killer's stunned and all of that, unless you get the double stun, which headphones users just listen to the way you're running and keep up anyway, you're losing all of the distance. So if anything, this will make pallet drops better. I mean, the small pallet ones that the killers can just walk around, obviously. Pre-dropping those makes a small problem, but if that survivor then in turns in the future loops back through and then jumps that pallet as the killer's about to slap them before they take that hit, but jumps it before the killer actually gets them and the killer ends up slapping into that pallet, there's use there. Those are just pallets just to get distance anyway. You know, the really small ones that the killer's like, if you're going to drop that, I'm just going to walk around and we're going to act like that didn't happen. So, I don't know what this particular person's talking about, pre-dropping pallets issue. If it ain't a god pallet, who cares? You know, if generators are being done, who cares? Teach them a lesson. That's the one that all active attacks inflict the deep wound on healthy and all of this other stuff. This perk only rewards the killers for losing the game. It will also lead to a very boring Legion type play where they focus survivors to hold M1 and mend. This perk not only rewards the killer for losing the game. I mean, I will agree that it's weak, but it's not rewarding the killer for losing a game. Generators are gonna be completed. That's just how the game goes. And when generators are being completed, if you're just now, you know, going up on that generator, you have that 60 seconds, or if there's two survivors working on one generator, you can hit one, which deeply wounds them, and then focus your attention on the other survivor. That then stops two survivors from working on generators. So, I can't agree with your terminology there. It's not a boring type of Legion gameplay. It's stalling the survivors so they can't immediately go to another generator. And the mend generally doesn't even take that long to do. I'm not agreeing with this person and this type of statement either. Underperformed though. You ain't gotta be this rude in a comment towards that person. You really don't. This is his form. He said the idea is scrapped. And here you are going to town on them. Ideas were scrapped for a reason, brother. For the last time, no good survivors are missing skill checks. This perk would be worthless. You ain't gotta insult the man like this. I insult people, yes, but I mean, I have reason. And I even explain the reason. Most of the time, it's not even the creator themselves that I'm insulting. I'm being insultive to all the creators that want to add mini mories and things like that to their designs. That's what I'm insulting. The entire group. There are some some people, you know, internety. And then the other guy that I do personally insult. But for the most part, no. He even comes back, seems to be very nicely, tried to fix a few of the issues listed. Honestly, timeout tiers were just added so I could figure out more add-ons, and you know, he starts to explain everything. Explains, even though he clearly states at the top that did somebody's? Oh no. I skipped one. The teacher that can put up the blockable walls. He can just place walls to block off pallets and vaults so that only he can walk through, which just forces survivors to hold W and not loop. The secondary power is just built-in Scourge Hook. And then he goes and explains everything patiently, I might add, to this guy. Literally says based on a scrap concept for like it's based off of scrapped concepts, and this guy is going ham. I'm not gonna interfere with this little powwow that they go there. He'll say he handled his own business. There's no need for me to interrupt and be like, God, you're being a dick. Or anything like that, because yeah, I was being a dick too, just not in the way that he was. Not only was he being a dick, he was saying things that made really no sense. I understand you hate playing against Legion, because Legion always finds you and hits you and then runs away and forces you to mend. But I mean, there's ways to get around Legion. There's ways to loop Legion. Just learn how to play against a particular killer, and don't say that the game's boring. The killer is not a sprinter. He just has the ability to give deep wound status effect. He's still moving at 4.6 or things like that, which I think Legion still moves at 4.6 when he's running, actually. I think I read somewhere that that's the case, even though I feel like it's faster. But you can still loop him and do whatever with a Legion, just like any other killer. So when people throw all the hate and shade and everything else out, it's like, bro, like, come on, man. Thanks. I was trying to keep any that people used to compare Jeff the Killer with the Legion. Don't worry, I'm still working on this. Nice. Oh, I voted up this particular comment. And because I voted up this comment, I get to see the reply for that. Because I was like, I don't remember commenting on anything. Nothing in inbox. Alright, cool. That's an hour and a half on top of the Splinter Cell mission that I did and all of that. I think that's good. It's roundabouts 11 o'clock. I need to go outside, check the driveway. I also got to get my clothes out of the dryer and do a bunch of other things around the house. Do regular work, do driveway, you know, and everything else. So, thanks everybody for stopping by. And as always, Dead by Daylight is free in the Epic Games Store until December 9th. Remember that. I guess I can show you how to do this then, huh? Open up your Epic's Game Launcher, or you can just go to the website and log in that way. But if you have Epic Games, just open the launcher like usual. Not epicsgames.com or whatever you go. Pretty sure it's just epicgames.com or something. From there, log in, click on the store, and then you're just going to scroll down to the free section. It's very easy to do. It's on the front of the store page. All of their free games, which they usually offer, 1 or 2 each week, up to 3 each week, or not say each week, but for a time, are free. Right now, Fortnite Chapter 3 is free. Whatever True Learn is free. It looks like a coding game. Just True, just Learn. I think that's a coding game. So see, as soon as you open up the Epic's Game Launcher, it immediately starts you in the store page. You're on the store page already, and you're in the Discover. All you gotta do is just scroll down to the free games. Bam! There's a coding game, which I might grab, but Dead by Daylight, click it. It'll say that it's made to be 18 plus. If you're 18 and plus, click continue, and then you show that it's free. Hit get, bam. It'll pop up all of this gibberish and all of this and how you want to order everything. I don't have a credit card on file, so it don't matter. If you want to give Behavior or share your emails with Behavior and get all of the emails and things that they send out, you can go ahead and do that. You can enter in a creator tag. I do not have one, but let's just type in QTASTIC. I don't have one, so you're going to have to find out whoever your creator is and then hit place order. I don't think they get anything for this, but it might be. Say Lethemir from Rocket League. Call Lethemir. Type that in. You'll support him for X amount of time. Don't you? And if you want to share your email to Behavior, you don't have to. I mean, you can leave this unchecked and hit next. All of this is optional. And then you place order. As soon as you place order, it'll show you that you'll get an email to wherever your account's set to, and it's already added in the lobby. Nice installed, where you can click install now, or you can go to your library or do whatever. And then there you go. It takes you to the stores page and everything else and all of that. If you want to go back, you can either click store or you can just go up and click discover again. Either or will take you back here, which is just the main page that you'll see with the Fortnite and Farming Simulator. And that's all you do. Bam. Press the get. I mean, if you want to know what the game's about, you can see there. You then can send your email. I already put in code Lethemir there, so I'm going to be supporting him for like the next 48 hours or something like that. And then hit place order. Email sent. And now it can be viewed in library. I do have Phoenix Point, which I've already done a playthrough now, or through. If I ever get my streaming set up, well, after I finish Splinter Cell and I get all my streaming stuff set up, so this is going to be like 6 months, probably do a year down the road. If I get, updated graphics, upgraded, well, I don't need graphics. I mean, I've played through the game like 3 or 4 times already, but if I get another monitor set up, and probably an increase of RAM, because I'm probably going to try to run a lot of programs in the background, streaming wise, etc., etc., and get this nice setup, I will do a Phoenix Point playthrough. I mean, keep in mind that I've played the game multiple times through, but I mean, they've been coming out with other expansions and things like that that I haven't played, like the newest one. I haven't actually jumped on and played yet, so. For those of you who don't know, Phoenix Point is an XCOM project, but the original creators decided to make another game off of that. It's completely different from XCOM. I mean, it keeps the same base movement system with the action points and all of that, and the same the way you select things, but the game and aspects completely different. Like completely, totally different. It's like a super upgrade to XCOM. I do recommend grabbing it if you have the opportunity to, especially if you're an XCOM fan. Like, oh my god, it's amazing. You can free aim. Oh, and for those of you that are used to XCOM's system, you will probably always take damage every turn in Phoenix Point, but you have a higher health bar and a whole bunch of other things that go into that. Instead of the XCOM, you shoot and either the enemy hits you or the enemy misses you. Phoenix Point, the enemy could miss you with every bullet except for one, and that one bullet that hits you will do damage. Or you could shoot at an enemy, it's say 100% or something like that, but if you aim at a wall or something like that, you're going to destroy the wall in front of you, and then the bullets that are left over are going to continue to go forward. So there's a lot more mechanics to Phoenix Point, and I can't even go over how amazing that game is when you play through it. But anyway, thanks anybody for stopping to the stream, and I think I am out of here. I got things to do. Supplement your lifestyle. Have a nice day.